Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on for my first tutorial using the Globleland products that I got this time around. So Globleland are an awesome company that sells heaps and heaps of crafting items. So do go check them out. They are linked down below. Yeah, they have piles and piles. You'll get lost on the website, but they're very decently priced. I've never had a problem with receiving the items that I order. They're always packed really decently and they're very inexpensive, so it's a win-win. And I've really loved doing tutorials for them for quite a while now, which has been awesome. So the dies I got this time around are these cutting dies here, which are costume ones. So they're basically a set of 3 corset shapes, and you can layer a few of them up in that as well. And then it also comes with these 4 bows. Now these bows are really cool. I think I'll grab my scraps out one day and just cut a whole pile of bows, because that'd be great to use on all sorts of embellishments and clusters for my journals as well. So I'm doing something with those, and I'm also using this wooden cutting die. Now you can use this in your big shot. It should be compatible with most die cutting machines. It's basically like a big die, so you've got your blades in there under the foam, so do be careful when you're handling it. And so that's a tassel one. So I decided to have a go at making some tassels as well. So the links to Globleland, as I said, is down below, as are the links to the individual products that I am using for my tutorials. There is also the code, which is NAT10. You can use that on checkout to get 10% off of any orders with Globleland. So we'll get on with it and see what we can make. So I have here the wooden cutting die to cut my tassels. And I've got my big shot. I'm taking all the plates off and just using my clear plates here. So I'm putting the bottom plate on, and then I place the leather down and the die on top, with the cutting part, of course, down on the die. Then I put the other clear plate on the top and run it through the big shot. And it cuts perfectly. So we have our little tag shape, and we also have a tassel there. Now the little ends of the tassel may stick together like this, so you can just pull them apart, but I thought it'd probably be a bit neater just to give them a little snip. And those parts are ready now. So I've got another one of my leather samples here, and the die fits just right on top of that to be able to cut the shapes out of. So I continue on cutting some more leather pieces. I wanted to try a stack of other things too, because I know the big dies you can stack up a number of pieces of paper. So I've got some text page, music page, some coloured papers, and I also have a couple of pieces of fabric there, which I'm sandwiching in between the papers. I think in all I had about 7 layers there. And you can see that they all cut perfectly well. So it's a great way to make, a pile of tassels all at once and use up heaps of scraps, whether it be your paper or your fabric. So now I want to put together one of the tassels. So what I'm doing is cutting off just one of the strappy bits. If I fold this in half, it will make a nice little hook for me to be able to attach a jump ring to. So I'm putting a bit of glue on the end so that I can stick it together. And then I add some glue to the edge of my tassel piece so I can stick that little piece in there. Run some glue just along the top so that I can roll my tassel up and the glue will stick it all together nicely. And that's your basic tassel done. So very, very easy. I have these key rings and they fit just perfectly over the top, and I thought they would be nice to add a little embellishment, so I just slipped that over the top. Now here I have a bit of paper, and I've just got a bit of string there, and I'm sticking that in as my loop. I've added the glue along the top, and I'm just rolling that piece of paper up. And you can see with the thinner paper pieces it makes a much narrower tassel, which is fine, but I thought just to bulk it up a bit I'd add another piece of paper. So I've got this orange paper. It's a fibrous type of paper, and I'm just adding some glue to the top of that and rolling that up on top of my other piece just to make it a bit thicker. I have a gold bead which has a massive hole in it, so I thought I would try putting that over the top. Only just fit with a fair bit of coaxing. I'll have to go searching for some different bits and pieces that I can put on top of my tassels. So here are the two pieces of fabric that I cut. And as you can see, I did cut one of the strips off of that pattern piece, and I am creating a loop with that by folding it in half. Same process as the previous tassels, bit of glue down at the start there to attach my loop, and just a few dabs of glue along the top so that I can roll it and it will stick to itself. And I grabbed the other piece of fabric because I want that on top. Just creates a bit of interest having the different colours. So it's such a quick and easy project, this, having the die to cut out so many layers of these thinner pieces and then just roll them all up, and you've created a pile of tassels for yourself. So next I'm using my costume dies, and I did try layering some papers or cardstocks and that, but because they're quite intricate, it did work out better just to do one piece at a time. So I've just got this pink cardstock, and I'm doing some of the corset shapes and some of the bows on there. And then I do also grab some other papers to cut shapes out of as well. And you can see they're cut really well. I used my little brush and foam mat to get some of the pieces out of it, but the ones that were a bit stubborn I just used my pokey tool for. I ended up cutting out all the different shapes to have a bit of a play with. So I have this base piece that I cut out on your pattern cardstock, and I've just raided my scrap laces, cutting the top off a bit because it's quite bulky. I'm leaving enough so that the stitches are still in there to hold the gathering together, but it just made it a bit less bulky to be able to adhere down to the top and then stick lace over that. So I'm just using some of my fabric glue to adhere the lace on. Trim the edges. And I use my tacky glue just to help hold it on the edge pieces there. I still want it to have some movement, so I don't want to stick the whole lot down, but I do want it to stay on there. So I have a scrap piece of that lace that has the ribbon in it. I thought that would look nice layered over the top. Use a bit of greaseproof paper just to help me push the lace down into the glue. So I've got a bit of scrap ribbon there, and I make sure I've got cut it on a bit of an angle, so I've just got that pointy end to be able to put through one of the holes in the die cut. And that will just create a tab, as I want to use these as tags in my journals. So to hold it on, I've just grabbed some of my scrap cotton there, and I'm using a needle just to put a couple of stitches into my ribbon to hold it together. So I just tie my cotton together at the back there. I've got some of my little bling pieces. Thought that'd be a nice addition, and I'm just sticking a couple of those to the bodice. Just using a cotton tip to remove some of the glue that has spilled out from underneath. So I have another one of the bodice cutouts there that is good to use as a base piece, because the other pieces you can layer on top. I've got a bit more gathered lace there. I did cut the top off of that one actually. I think I unpicked it. I still wanted to keep the sort of gathered look, but I definitely didn't want the bulk up the top of the lace, so that I could adhere it to the bottom of this piece. Of course, the gathering helps you stick it down in a curved position better than straight laces. So I've got the bit that I took off when I unpicked from the top of the lace there, and it seems to fit really nicely down the centre piece. So I decide that I'll stick it down there just for something different, and it's good to use up these little pieces. So then I trim any overhanging bits. So a bit fiddly adding the glue to all the little pieces here, but we want to make sure that they do stick down well. The only problem with this top piece is it's quite delicate, so trying to stick it down so and not have the little bits sort of move where you don't want them, sort of getting them straight and exactly where you want them can be a little difficult. I just need a bit of practice, I think. It is great fun dressing these up. There's a lot of different ways you could do it as well. So now I'm putting my little tag topper through, just another piece of ribbon. Using some scrap cotton to put the few stitches in. As you can see, I leave the tail quite a length on the tail there, so it's easy when I put the needle back through just to tie the two ends in a double knot. And I found some more of my sticky bling. What are they? Adhesive pearls. I should call them by their right name, shouldn't I? I just never know what they're called, so I just call them bling. And they're really little, these ones, but they're great to put on the little circles there for the corset. So I do all of that off of camera because it took me forever. I've got one of the bows that I die cut, and even though there's the bow shape on the top corset piece, I just felt that it would look better having one of those bows over the top as well. Just adds a bit more embellishment. And then I find a bigger, I think it's a yellow sticky bling to stick on the bow. That tops it off nicely, I think. Okay, so I've finished having fun and ready to do a recap of what I have made with you this time round. So we'll start with what we made with our wooden cutting die, the tassel one. I did make some tassels. So it cuts your tassel shape, but it also cuts this little label as well, which is really neat. So that can be used individually or you can use it with your tassels. So what I did was die cut some paper. I've got two types of paper here. I've got a thicker one underneath, which is yellow. And then I've got this fibrous paper that I cut on top. Now I did massacre the paper a bit when I was trying to slip my bead over the top. You don't have to slip anything over the top, but you can slip things like washes and beads and whatever you find that might fit over the top just to add a bit of embellishment to them. And I stuck just a bit of cotton in this one to dangle it with. So that's the paper one. I thought, even though it's a leather cutting die, I know with many of the big style dies that you can cut multiple sheets of paper and that at once. So I did layer up a few different types of paper and some material to see what that was like. So this is a material tassel that I've made. And that turned out quite nice as well. I did double it up just to make it a bit thicker, but you can just do one layer and it's a nice thin tassel. So I've got the pink underneath and then this patterned fabric on top, and then I just cut off a bit of the fabric strip to put the little hook piece in there to dangle it with. So that's that one. So heaps fun way of using up some scraps. And then I started with my leather scraps that I have a pile of here. I think I've told the story numerous times that my father, when I was young, worked in a leather company. he showcased a lot of the leathers. So he had a pile of scraps that he gave to me one day that have just been sitting around. So I thought it'd be great to grab some of the dyes from Globleland and find out what I could do with the scraps. And I love this idea. So this is one of the tassels I made. Again, I cut one of the strips off of the tassel to make the little loop piece. And then I had these little like key ring parts, and they seem to fit perfectly around the top, so I glue it together and then just slip one of them over, and it just adds that nice embellishment and helps hold it all together. So I have that one. Might as well put these here too. I have this brown one. There's a bit of a cut in the leather there, but that's all right. I might end up putting something around that. Could always bind some twine around it or something as well. Have this dark brown reddish one. So I think they're beautiful. They will look awesome on the side of some vintage style journals as a tassel dangle. And then I've got this dark brown one. So this has nothing around it either. The leather was a bit thicker, so my little rings didn't fit around. So I have to go hunting for some different bits and pieces to put on top. So here are the matching little labels. So I didn't bother attaching them or anything because it depends what sort of journal I'm going to put them on. I can always use this as a separate dangle somewhere, but I really love these too. And then I put one together just to show you something you can do with it. So I've got some of my old secondhand chain and a lobster clasp, so it's ready to go. And there is the little label as well, or tag. So what I could do is stamp on that with my leather stamps as well, and that would look really neat. So I love that. I think that die is going to get a lot of use. It's a great way to use up those leather scraps, and multi-purpose because you can use it with your paper and your materials as well. You could use it with felt and all sorts of stuff, and you can do multiple layers of paper in your thinner materials. So that gets it done a lot quicker. So that was heaps and heaps of fun. I loved that project. So the next thing I did was cut out some of my different scrap bits of paper with my corsets and my bows. And I grabbed some of my lace scraps and some of my bling and just put together a few things. And I decided that I'd make tags with those this time around. There's all sorts you could do with these. You can make like little page belly bands, or just stick them on the page as an embellishment or a tuck spot, or make cards and all that sort of stuff. But since I mainly make journals, I usually try to make things that I can use in those. So this is just some scrapbook paper. So of course it can be written on the back, so it can just be either slipped into a pocket or I can paper clip it onto one of my journal pages. I ended up putting toppers on them with just some scrap ribbon, and I sewed that together. Bit of my bling on there, and then I just added a couple of layers of the lace that I had hanging around. Again, I used up my scraps a lot for this project, and I think that's quite a pretty little embellishment. So this is another one I made. So we've got the same background die there, which is this one, and then this one I layered with this die. I added one of the bows that I die cut out, and I had this gathered lace. Now I cut the top of it off just so it wasn't so bulky when I stuck it down there, and then I used the top behind this bit here, then just added some bling to these little pieces here, and I like the way that turned out. Again, it can be written on. Then I've got this red and black one. Again, it's just the base, bit of bling, scrap ribbon, a couple of pieces of scrap lace. Then we've got this pretty one, which is, I did the pink cardstock with this die and layered it onto a black background. One of the little bows there with a bit of bling, and then just some of my gathered lace down the bottom and the top on that one. So that was a heaps fun project too. There is so much you could do with these, as in cutting them with different materials and papers and making skirts to go with them, adding different embellishments on them. So I will have fun playing around. I had a whole heap of ideas, but you know, sometimes I need to go, no, Nat, you just need to get the video done. So I thought I'd better do that, because there's always plenty of other times I can make videos showing other ideas. So that is it for me today, and that was so much fun. I really love both of those die sets. So a massive thank you to Globleland for the awesome product. Heaps of fun to make. All the links are down below. Don't forget to use your coupon code if you want to purchase anything. Do take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye.